And welcome back. It's time for our Capitol Report with Pat McGuigan of CapitolBeatOK.com. Pat, a Federal Health and Human Services Inspector General's report says Medicare data is, quote, inaccurate, incomplete, and inconsistent. What is the response of Oklahomans to this, and what comes next?
The response was varied, as you might expect. A quick thumbnail, Nico Gomez at the Oklahoma Healthcare Authority, who's actually responsible for administering big aspects of the Medicare program here in Oklahoma, said the report, remember, coming from an HHS, Federal Inspector General's, the report has some points to it that he agreed with. He pointed to the fact that they have been sometimes frustrated with the accuracy of Oklahoma data versus some of the national picture. Of course, the point some of the critics are making is, if this is the situation already with Medicare, what makes us think the government can take over, 1/6 of the economy and do it effectively? Dr. Catherine Shearman, who is with Doctors for America, who is an advocate of the Affordable Care Act, said this is kind of like apples and oranges, because the main thing that happens under ACA, of course, is Medicaid expansion. At the same time, she said the Inspector General's report pointed out problems, and those problems can be addressed and fixed within the Medicare system, and then we all move on. As you might expect, Oklahoma Counsel for Public Affairs, Jonathan Small, was really tough. He said, this shows rampant, systematic potential or even likelihood of fraud within the system. He and Dr. Mike Ritz, who's a state legislator but a medical doctor, Mike also said this is pretty much what critics predicted would happen. So you have varying views. It is having an impact. People are talking about the problems that it identifies within Medicare. What comes next, we'll see. I don't really know. Yeah. I think that Oklahoma is attentive because they've been doing a better job than the feds on this.
Okay. You reported that Governor Fallin is going to be a featured speaker at the National Press Club in September. Tell us about that, and what do you expect from her presentation?
Well, she's the incoming chairman of the National Governors Association. She's been the vice chairman. She gave one speech at the National Press Club as vice chairman. So she's the incoming chairman. She can talk about whatever she wants. I would expect and anticipate, my hunch is she'll stick with her themes of flexible federalism, and that's something we discussed last winter when she met with President Obama and other members of the National Governors Association. She talked about a true partnership between the states and the feds and the federal government instead of just imposition of mandates. She talked about finding shared savings and efficiencies and making the states actual partners in administration, not have fewer unfunded mandates. You hear that term all the time. That means don't send us down a bunch of mandates and things that you expect us to do and not have money follow it. And of course that's a very practical thing to be saying in an era like we're in now of limited resources. Management of programs. Let us actually manage the programs in the states even if we're using federal money. And finally, the term maintenance of effort is sometimes used by federal officials to mean, well, you can manage it, but you have to maintain the existing level of effort or this mandate. And she was critical, is critical of maintenance of effort. So she's laid this out in face-to-face meetings with the president, and I think that's what she'll talk about in September at the National Press Club.
All right, it'll be interesting to follow that. Finally, briefly, a conservative Republican is going to be holding an anti-war rally at the Capitol in a few days, and there's a liberal councilman who looks to be in a pretty good position to make a run for mayor in Oklahoma City. What's going on in Oklahoma City?
Well, I've been joking that maybe there was something that got added to the water as a result of the spring rains. I don't know. No, seriously, Paul Wesselhoft, South Oklahoma City and more, an ardent conservative but a thoughtful guy, sometimes gets pigeonholed because his voting record is so consistently conservative. But Paul's a serious man, and he's been very concerned about the Syria situation and about our government's involvement in it, and he thinks it's a mistake. It's not our war. July 12th, the evening of July 12th at the Capitol, he's going to be the host of a big rally. And then finally, a guy we've talked about in the past, Ed Shadid, city councilman, considered a liberal, and yet a lot of conservatives respect him for gigging what he calls corporate welfare, and some aspects of MAPS 3. I think he's a very serious candidate. If he runs and Mick Cornett runs, could be the most expensive mayoral election in city history, and very competitive.
Yeah. All right, you can read more about these and other topics at CapitolBeatOK.com. For Pat McGuigan, I'm Alex Cameron. Have a great day.